Endotracheal intubation. It is the placement of endotracheal tube into the trachea to maintain an open airway or to serve as a conduit for administration of certain drugs like oxygen and inhalation anesthetic agents. What are its indications? It is used whenever a short protected airway is necessary for a patient, such as an emergency situation where the patient may be unconscious or have impaired spontaneous respiration. Also, during general anesthesia, when the patient is undergoing any surgical procedure involving body cavities, head and neck surgeries, or surgeries in prone position. It also helps in protecting our airway against aspiration. Upper airway anatomy. Trachea is the major airway connecting the nose and mouth to the lungs. Larynx, also known as voice box, consists of the vocal cord. Side view shows the root of the tongue, trachea, and behind it lies the esophagus. A cross-section view reveals the epiglottis, which is attached to the thyroid cartilage, and posteriorly lies the cervical spine. Larynx lies between the pharynx and the trachea, which is walled superiorly by the epiglottis and inferiorly by the cricoid cartilage. Epiglottis opens, allowing the free movement of the air during breathing via trachea, and it closes during swallowing, directing the food into the esophagus. It also helps in generation of the voice by movement of the vocal cord when air passes through it. Structures visualized while intubation. Externally lies the nose, lips, and teeth. As we go inside lies hard palate. Just behind it is the soft palate. Just below it lies the uvula and palatoglossal arches. Behind it is the posterior wall of pharynx. As we go deeper, between the posterior part of the tongue and the leaf-shaped epiglottis lies the vallecula, where the tip of the Macintosh blade of the laryngoscope hinges and lifts the epiglottis. Two vocal cords can be seen through which the endotracheal tube is passed and advanced into the trachea. We will be seeing endotracheal intubation in elective cases and few special cases. Elective intubation will be covered under following subheadings. Prior to intubation, it is necessary for proper preparation and being ready for any difficulty faced during the process. So here is the checklist for the same. First step in the process of intubation is quick airway assessment. A mnemonic lemon makes it easy to remember. Look externally for bones or booths which may possess difficulty in bag and mask ventilation. Do 3-3-2 examination. 3 fingers signifies adequate mouth opening. 3 fingers for higher mental distance. 2 fingers between the thyroid cartilage and the floor of the mouth. Mallampatti grading. In grade 1, fossal pillars, uvula, soft and hard palate are visible. Grade 2, uvula, soft and hard palate are visible. Grade 3, base of the uvula, soft and hard palate are visible. In grade 4, only hard palate is visible. Over obstruction, look for any obstruction of the airway. Check for the neck mobility in all the 4 directions, which is further confirmed by the Delicans test for easy positioning. Second step is preparation and equipment check. Remember a mnemonic SOAP me. S stands for suction. Switch on the suction machine, check for its pressure and proper functioning. O stands for oxygenation. Ensure the presence of face mask, non-rebreathable mask, nasal cannula for apneic oxygenation, ambu bag and Bain circuit. Check for the cylinder and the center supply line pressure. Many equipments are required to be assembled for the airway. Endotracheal tube. Check for any leak from the cuff. Always keep one size plus and minus of the desired size. Keep KY jelly for lubricating the tip. 10 ml syringe for inflation of the cuff. Tape for the fixation. Keep bougie and stillet as backup. Check whether the lights of the laryngoscopic blades are working. Keep more than one size of the blade. Lock the desired blade on the handle. Keep different sizes mask, oral and the nasal airway ready. Keep video laryngoscope and supraglottic devices as backup. P stands for positioning. It is important to align oral, laryngeal and the pharyngeal axis of the patient for the better view of the vocal cords. Best way to achieve it is what is called morning sniffing position. It includes 8 to 10 cm head elevation by placing a pillow underneath the head, along with flexion of the cervical spine up to 25 to 35 degree and extension at the atlanto-occipital joint up to 80 to 90 degree. Anesthetist should be on the head end with the table height up to his or her xiphoid process. Basic ergonomics says it's convenient for the anesthetist with the helper standing on the right and IV drug administration from the left side of the patient. Next is arranging all the medications for easy access. Make sure you have a patent IV line and your monitors are functioning and turned on. E for equipments. Check the anesthesia machine beforehand. Last part is making sure you have your end-tidal CO2, both the CO2 detector devices and the waveform, that is capnogram, to exclude esophageal intubation. Fourth step is insufflation. In it, 100% oxygen is delivered to the patient via appropriate sized mask by gently placing it above the patient's face for several minutes. Meanwhile, the pre-medication for anxiety, analgesia and IV induction agent is also given. Look for the loss of verbal response and eye closure. This marks the time for bag and mask ventilation and also marks approx dose of IV induction agent. Our fifth step is pre-oxygenation by bag and mask. Mask can be held with one hand using C&E technique. In case of difficulty, two-hand technique can be used. Jaw thrust can be given to open the mouth if required. Effective mask ventilation requires tight fit, proper seal, patent airway. In facing difficulty, oral airway can be used. Close the APL valve if required. This enhances scale for difficult mask ventilation. In grade 1, able to ventilate. Grade 2, ventilation is possible by use of oral nasal airway. Grade 3, difficult mask ventilation. Grade 4, unable to mask ventilate. Note, positive pressure ventilation using a mask should normally be limited to 20 cm of water to avoid stomach inflation. Always keep an eye on the chest rise and EtCO2. If able to ventilate, then give the muscle relaxant and continue the process for 3 minutes, as this way oxygen reserve is purged of nitrogen. Therefore, this step is also known as denitrogenation. It increases duration of apnea and provides 8 to 10 minutes oxygen reserve without desaturation. Sixth step is orotracheal intubation. A right-handed person should hold the laryngoscope in left hand and the right hand should be used to open the mouth. Insert the curved blade of laryngoscope into the mouth from the right side, displacing the tongue to the left. Advance the tip slightly until the epiglottis is seen. The tip is held into the vallecula with the handle of the laryngoscope pointing away from you at 45 degrees, lift upward and away. The epiglottis is lifted indirectly, displaying the vocal cord in case of Macintosh blade. In case of Miller, it directly lifts up the epiglottis by swiping above it and lifting up. At this point, we can see the CL grading. Cormack and Lihani gave the 4 laryngoscopic grades. In grade 1, entire vocal cord can be seen. In grade 2, only posterior part of vocal cord can be seen. In grade 3, epiglottis can be seen. In grade 4, no glottic structure can be seen. Cook modified the CL grading and further divided 2 into 2A, in which posterior commissure along with the posterior part of vocal cord can be seen. In 2B, only posterior commissure can be seen. In 3A, epiglottis is visible, which is liftable with the bougie. In 3B, epiglottis is seen, which is not liftable with the bougie. In this patient, it is CL grade 1. Now with the right hand, insert the endotracheal tube from the right side of the mouth directly between the cords into the trachea until the cuff passes between the cords and the cord lies between 2 marking of the tubes. The marking of the tube at the incisor marks the depth of the fixation, usually being 20 to 22 cm in adult females, 21 to 23 cm in adult male. Remove the laryngoscope and inflate the cuff with least amount of pressure needed to avoid pressure damage to the trachea. One can access the intra-cuff pressure by using AG cuff fill syringe with digital display. Now attach the tube to the bag and valve apparatus and ventilate the patient with oxygen flow of 10 to 12 liters per minute. The last step is confirmation of the proper tube placement and its fixation. It can be done by auscultating the apices of the lung and axilla and stomach. This is known as 5-point auscultation. At the end, one should auscultate over trachea to rule out any leak. If it is not a correct position, deflate the cuff and remove the tube. Resort back to bag and mask ventilation and repeat the intubation process from the beginning. If the tube is too far, the right lung will be ventilated only by the right main bronchus. If this is the case, deflate the cuff and withdraw the tube 2 to 3 cm, re-inflate the cuff and recheck the position. Note, capnographic detection of end-tidal CO2 is the definitive test for confirmation of tracheal intubation. Tube position can be confirmed by chest radiograph. Now, when the tube is in the correct position, secure it via tapes, attach tube with the ventilatory apparatus and ventilate the patient. Note, if there is difficulty in visualization of the cord, then one can externally manipulate and give what is called burp, backward, upward and rightward pressure on the thyroid. Here's a quick summary video of the steps for the orotracheal intubation for easy understanding. Note, before any manipulation of airway, care must be taken not to injure the patient's eye by unintentionally abrading the cornea. Also, care must be taken to avoid injury to the teeth and trapping of the tongue between teeth and the blade. Most important, being gentle in entire procedure. Complications of intubation. Early complications. It may cause trauma, hemodynamic collapse, tube malposition, late complications like sore throat, infection, mouth or lip trauma, tooth injury. Intubation in few special cases will be discussed under following headings. First, rapid sequence intubation with special focus on pregnancy. RSI is the steps a clinician takes to rapidly secure an airway, involving the use of medications to sedate and paralyze the patient in order to try to create the perfect condition for intubation, especially in conditions where there is a high risk for aspiration as in emergency cases. Some special points regarding RSI are NPO status should be confirmed and aspiration prophylaxis done, no use of bag during pre-oxygenation, use of Sellick's maneuver from the time of laryngoscopy up to the inflation of the cuff of the tube. Immediately after giving muscle relaxant, the appearance of the fasciculation indicates the time of intubation. No waiting time of 3 minutes. Special care in case of pregnancy should be taken as there should be presence of senior most anesthetist. Always keep one size less ED tube size ready as there is possibility of glottic edema. Polylaryngoscopic blade can be used. There is decreased FRC, increased oxygen demand, so patient can desaturate easily. Coming to the pediatric intubation, it necessitates the checking of the pediatric airway and equipments before the procedure, the use of patent IV line and pediatric drip set. The pediatric ET tube size can be easily derived by the formula. For uncuffed it is age divided by 4 plus 4, for cuffed it is age divided by 4 plus 3.5. The approx depth can be calculated by multiplying the size by 3. Difference between adult and pediatric larynx and airway is listed in the table. Evaluating the airway in pediatric patient can be challenging. One simple and rapid way of assessing the airway in the children has been advocated, which is called Koper scale. C stands for chin, O for opening of the mouth, P for previous intubation and OSA, U for uvula, R for range, if the score is above 10, which predicts difficult intubation. The special differences between adult and pediatric intubation are: the head is kept in the neutral position as head is large in proportion to the body, use of Jackson-Rees circuit, giving low total volume and high respiratory rate with the help of bag. The approx size of the ET tube can be derived by comparing with the size of the little finger of the neonate. Glass holding technique for the face mask provide good coverage and seal. Manipulation of cricoid with the little finger of the same hand, which is used for laryngoscopy, that is left hand. Cheek pulling for better visualization at tube insertion. Note to disconnect the circuit during fixing the tube as it can be displaced from its position due to heavy weight from the circuit. The required distal end of the ET tube can be shortened to decrease the dead space if required. Third is intubation in elderly. In examination, look for ill-fitting denture, remove it if present. Well-fitting denture can be kept during the bag and mask ventilation but should be removed prior to intubation. Difficulty may be encountered during positioning due to stiff joints and mouth opening. Note, edentulous airway possess problem in bag and mask ventilation, so a gauge can be used to make a good seal. Few important points during intubation in obese. Positioning for alignment of the three axes of the airway is a problem in obese due to thick and short neck. So they may require ramped up position, that is 20-degree head up position, which can be obtained by placing number of pillows beneath the head and shoulder so that the tragus comes at the level of the sternal notch. Some special points to focus on in obese intubation are: one can face difficulty in bag and mask ventilation. It may require two personnel at a time interchanging their position to avoid fatigability of the hand. Anticipate the difficult airway, so be prepared with different plans. It is better to go for video laryngoscopy and they may require burp for better visualization. Nasotracheal intubation, most commonly used for intraoral surgeries, used where securing airway is questionable as in spine surgeries, also in limited mouth opening. Special points: use of vasoconstrictors, example xylometazoline nose drops, use of nasal airways, use of magal forceps to direct the ET tube inside the vocal cord under direct visualization using laryngoscope. Difficult tracheal intubation. Thus, Difficult Airway Society provides an useful approach for the management of unanticipated difficult airway. A clearly labeled difficult airway trolley will serve as a visual guide and prompt one to move along the strategy if not making progress. What is most important is providing the right equipment in the right amount, in the right place, in the right time. DAS has provided different plans for management of unanticipated difficult tracheal intubation. Progression through plans A to D prevents the anesthetist from unnecessarily repeating the same mistakes and ending up with the failed attempts, and helps to secure the patient airway. Though it was a very brief video on intubation, I hope this will be very helpful to the viewers and improve their skills in the clinical practice. Thank you.